Welcome, beautiful mama, to your breathwork tutorial. I'm Shauna Rose of Divine Mothering. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you. If you're watching this video, I'm very excited for you because that means that you are going to embark on a beautiful healing journey. And while that seems maybe a little bit cliche for me to say, it's incredibly true. It's so true. And I'm really deeply honored to have the opportunity to lead you through this journey. So let's get right into it. Actually, let's pause for a minute. I'm hoping that if you're watching this video, you have already read through the contraindications. So go and do that. Because you're a mom, I'm just gonna say one of them is pregnancy. You don't wanna do this when you're pregnant. You can, however, breathe in and out through the nose deeply and listen to the guided session. That's totally fine. You might have some breakthroughs with that, but wait for your postpartum period to do the actual active breathing. And I'll let you know what that is right now. So the active breathing part of this guided breathwork session is a belly, chest, and exhale. It's 3 parts. Your belly, about 85% of your oxygen is gonna come from the belly, and then we're gonna top it off in our heart or our chest, and then we exhale, and this is done in and out through the mouth. And so I hope that you're breathing in and out through your nose for the rest of the day, but for this breathing technique, we're gonna be breathing in and out through the mouth. So that's one of the most important parts. So for the session, you'll wanna be laying down, like I said. Your airway needs to obviously stay open, so avoid having a big pillow underneath your head, but you're welcome to put a pillow underneath your knees to support your lower back. So we'll start with a guided meditation, grounding meditation, and then together I will invite you to set your intention for the practice and be creative with this. This can be like really anything. I mean, if you want to guide your healing and say like, I want to let go of my fear of being seen, I want to anchor in feelings of worthiness, I want to, it could be anything. So we set your intention and then we get started with the breath, and the breathing is done with a musical playlist that I've handpicked for each session. Each session it'll change. And that music, the energy will start off kind of slow and you'll have an opportunity to build. And if you're doing the hour-long session, about 3/4 of the way in, we'll come to a song where the energy will build even more. And I invite you to let go a primal scream. And this is an amazing release. When I first started doing the breath work, I did not scream. I was afraid to. My kids were always asleep in the next room, and I was like, I don't need to scream. I'm scared to scream. I don't want to wake them up. But just use a pillow. Scream into a pillow. You're totally fine. Nobody's gonna hear you. Nobody can hear you screaming. But it's a really amazing release, and so I encourage you, even in your first session, to just give it a shot. And if you're doing a shorter session, we might not make it to the primal scream. But if you do feel like screaming, yeah, go ahead. You don't need anyone to tell you to scream. You can scream on your own if you feel called to. So then after the primal scream song, we'll go back to the active breath for a few minutes, and then I'll lead you into your rest breath, which is just in and out of the nose. And that's sort of like a savasana or shavasana in yoga, where you kind of just rest and receive from all of the hard work that you just put in. And it's, I also encourage you to just have some stillness and, don't rush right up once you're done with the active breathing. Like, really give yourself the receive portion. And then we'll close out with a poem, usually. Okay, so the difference between a longer session and the shorter session is just that it's shorter. and I usually don't invite you to do the primal scream. So let's get into what to expect during your breath work. So some common things to expect during this breath work. Like I said, we're over-oxygenating the body, and that's going to, and spiritually speaking as well, we're going through a lot of energetic shifts. So a tightening in the muscles, in the extremities, in the body. It's called tetany. The most common is in the hands. It's referred to as lobster claws. But you can get it anywhere in your body. And this, again, is very temporary. Just remind yourself that you're safe. It can sometimes be a little bit scary if you don't know that it's coming up, but just know that it's temporary, it's safe, and when you get to the rest breath, it'll subside. If it gets too intense, you can always opt to slow your breathing down or even breathe in and out of the nose for a second, I don't know, a minute, a little while. And that will help it subside if it's getting a little too intense. Another thing to expect is temperature change. You might get cold or hot. Again, it's just an energetic shift. And then also emotional release, the release of emotions. So you might begin to cry, or you might feel like yelling, even if I haven't invited you to yell. You might laugh. You might feel like you want to move your body around. These are all energetic shifts, and they're all like releasing of emotions. You may also have, not flashbacks, that's kind of a scary word, but you might have a little memory come, or like a visual memory or a thought or a feeling. So acknowledge these things. Know that if it's coming up, it's going. If our subconscious is releasing something to our conscious mind, that means that we're safe now to process it and let it go. So yay, that's amazing. Some helpful things to have nearby when you're doing your breath work are a glass of water for cotton mouth, chapstick for dry lips, an eye mask to shut down the visual sense. You'll usually have your eyes closed anyway, but a pillow to scream into. I also like to sage the room and maybe light a candle when I settle in to do my breath work. It's great to cleanse the space and to just make it like a lovely ritual for yourself. And I want to talk a little bit about the why, even though like if you've made it here, you probably know why we do breath work anyway. But I just think it's so interesting that how the body and our subconscious mind, they record every experience basically in our lives. And what happens is when we don't process the things that happen to us, the trauma stays in our body. Okay, so we can release this in a few types of ways. We can do talk therapy where they call it top down. So we talk about it and then we try to get at the things that are in our subconscious. We talk and we try to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then sometimes we re-traumatize ourselves because it's like too much for our conscious mind. Or we can do it through the bottom up, which is through the body. And the best way to access this is, well, I guess that's an opinion, but but in my opinion, the best way to access this is through the breath. I spent a lot of years avoiding talking about my problems and stuffing things down because it just was really painful, and I didn't want to go to a therapist and talk about all of my painful past memories and what I think those things have done to me, and what patterns have shown up in my life because of those things that happened to me. And so when I found breath work, I just started releasing those patterns and releasing that trauma, and I didn't have to talk about it, which is amazing. And then once you start releasing those things, then your conscious mind becomes like, you feel safe reflecting on those terrible things. You become strong enough to talk about your past. And that's what I've had to do, and that's what I'm sharing with all of you. And so I'm like elated to have made this video. And please message me with any of your questions. My email address is shauna@shaunarose.love. Shoot me an email if you want. And then on Instagram, I'm at divine.mothering. So that's it for our tutorial. I hope that was helpful, and enjoy your breath work.